Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome once again to yet another episode of Unzipping. This is a series of videos that I'm doing here on my YouTube channel in which I take a first look at a game that caught my eye for one reason or another and I hadn't had the chance to look at before. So it's like unboxing, but for PDFs. And don't expect a review really because I haven't read the book before. I never even opened the PDF. But as we go along, I try to provide some insight, some game design commentary, and graphic design commentary when appropriate too. So let me get rid of this banner real quick. And today we're taking a look at An Altogether Different River by Aaron Lim. And the reason we're looking at this game today is very personal. I actually am writing one of the 9 games that I'm working on at the moment. I'm writing a game that is about the feeling of going back home after being away for a long time. And although I think we're taking very different directions on the approach for this subject matter, this is also a game about that. And I was very curious when I stumbled upon it. It was actually part of one of those bundles I bought a while ago. And I was looking through my bundle and I saw this title and this cover art, and it immediately caught my eye. And when I read the description on the H page, I said, well, okay, this is interesting. This is one of those coincidences. And it won't be the first time because I recently had another game here that I didn't know had a lot of things in common with something I'm working on. But this is intentionally a choice I've made to look into it. And maybe it's a sort of inspiration for me as well, right? And so let's dive in. As usual, we take a look at the itch page first. And if you want to buy this game, the link is in the description of this video. You can go ahead and support the author. And this is the page, right? This art on the top, it's really nice. It gives a sort of nostalgic feeling almost. And there is a clash between like some traditional constructions, buildings, or a neighborhood here. And there is a background of a more futuristic downtown, so to speak. No idea if that's the vibe Aaron is going for here, but yeah, so well done and very beautiful. Right, I got this game from this bundle at TTRPGs from Trans Rights in Texas, and then I realized I had already got it with the indie bundle for Palestinian aid. So yeah. You can buy it now within the bundle for $5. You get 493 games. You heard it correctly. So yeah, amazing. And this edition was funded on a Kickstarter. Oh, okay, as part of Zine Quest 3. Okay, so this sounds like it's a game that was published in 2020, June 30. And updated December last year, 2021, right? So tags, GMless map drawing. Oh, that's the first time I look at tags here. Map drawing, cool. GMless, love him. Tabletop world building. Okay, sounds very much like my jam. I haven't read through this, but there's some art for the interior. I won't waste our time here because I'm going to look into it. But let's read what Aaron has to say about the game, shall we? It has been some time since you've left home, but now it's finally time to return. To what, though? The home you held in your mind and the home you will encounter will not be the same. You were not the same. You can't step into the same river twice. You can't go home again. So I read this paragraph and it hit home so badly because the game I'm writing is based on personal experience. I'm living abroad, and the sense that once you live in a different place, you can never find home again. And this analogy that you can't step into the same river twice because the river changes and you change, and you can't go home again. This, yeah, it's exactly the vibe I'm aiming for. I'm thinking mine would be a little darker in tone, and it's a card-based game, so yeah, very different approaches. But the feeling, the home you held, will not be the same. The home you held in your mind. So yeah. So this is a GMless role-playing game for 2 to 4 players. Okay, mine is a solo game and a single session of about 3 to 4 hours. It's inspiring in parts by Downfall. Do I know this game? Let me click through it just to see if I recognize it. A tabletop role-playing game for three. Build the world and then destroy it. Oh, okay. Go 4 awards. All right. So yeah, this is going for my list. I need to check this one out. Oh, damn it. I close it. Let me go back. This is why I like to do these things. I learn the game. I learn references for other games as well. Microscope, okay, makes sense. Cover and interior art is by Vanessa Tang. So, congrats, Vanessa. I love what you did here. Let's see. Behance, right? Illustrator from Malaysia. Okay. Very cool stuff. Right. Super cool. And you need pencils and paper and maybe a deck of cards to pick randomly from lists. So it's about a town, the people who have left it and returned, and the people who stayed behind. Excellent. So it's about returning home and grappling with what has and hasn't changed. Cool. So we build a town together, draw 2 maps, one for the town then and one for the town now. Okay, interesting. Then create characters, choose if they left or returned or stayed, highlight some questions to explore, and then introduce and explore different aspects of the town and play through scenes to flesh out it. Okay, very nice. You can look to town card prompts to add different aspects. Okay, then highlight how the town has changed. All right. Once you answer the questions, you move to the end of the game. Excellent. So I like it. It gives like a small overview on how to play the game, really, on the each page. Is something that you don't see very often. Appreciate that. There are community copies as well. And let's get it. Let's look into it. Right. So the game comes with 2 versions, web version and designer comments version. Okay, I'm very interested in the second one. However, I'll save it for later because I like to come up to conclusions first and try to see the intention of the game designer behind the mechanics and the choices by myself. But it's awesome to have an opportunity to actually look at what the designer thought. Let's see. Let's open it. And there you go. Oh, okay. Thank you. Table of contents. Really like it. Even if it's just a 32-page game, this is very much appreciated. Can't stress that enough. Okay, let me make sure you're seeing what I see. You are. Okay. So yeah, the cover, it sets the tone for me in a different ways. First, as I mentioned, the art, clashing these 2 realities of a city. There is like the looming threat of expanding city, and like those neighborhoods maybe that are more attached to your emotional memories of the place. And the choice of having a hand draw, like brush stroke, as a, font for the title gives the personal touch, right? It's a story you're writing from a very subjective point of view, right? It speaks about emotion, it speaks about feelings, and it speaks about like something that is personal, like handwriting. That's why I think it's a smart choice to have this title with this font. And let's go. Let's see. First, as usual, I'm going to flip through the book real quick just to see what awaits us, and then I'll go back and actually dive in. Okay. Table of contents, quote, an introduction, some words about the creation, boundaries and expectations, town, how to create it, characters and relationships. Okay, cool. Play to find answers. Now the play, oh, okay, the table with the playing cards that you can draw from, right? And now the exploration to show how the town has changed, uh, ask some questions, and end the game. Now some play advice. Teaching and facilitated. Oh, okay. Creative collaboration, variants and tweaks. Appreciated. Okay, so yeah, I think the voice here is very authorial. I haven't read through, but I can see. I've written the rules for the game, and I hope it's like the author talking to you, right? I've used this approach before. I've seen it used before. Sometimes you decide to go for a more neutral tone, and sometimes you want to explain the game in world, like one of the characters or like one of the elements of the world. Uh, and sometimes you just speak truly, like speak from your heart. And I'm assuming this experience of talking about a town we go back to, your and how it changed and how you changed might have come from a personal experience. I'm assuming, so it makes sense to use I on a game that it's so personal, right? Ink seeds. Maybe this is like a quick start, like with a pre-built town and a shorter form that you can like use it, produce it, and use it on a convention or a one shot that you have less time to. I'm assuming. And then a game structure with the summary of how to play the game. Cool. Character sheet, very straightforward. And the backers, okay, it was very successful, I'm assuming. Very cool. Excellent. Right. So I think we saw what we need. Let's dive in. Okay. Right. So we have seen the credits already. Playtesters, fonts used. Let's read this. It has been some time since you've left home, but now it's finally time to return. Oh, okay. It's the same text from each page. You can't truly go home again. Yeah. That sets the tone right on the spot. Okay. So let's read the story. I'm interested in that. I originally conceived this game as a part of Homebound, an anthology zine produced in 2019. It was a significant personal project that collect games about home and going away, made in the context of my move back to Malaysia after 14 years living in Melbourne, Australia. Okay, so yeah, it is a very deeply personal story. It was made as a farewell gifts for friends. Oh, you break my heart, man. It wasn't just a memento. I consider this in a sort of a statement of what I wanted to achieve in designing games. To use games as a medium to express myself. Bravo. Whether it was sharing something personal or just was about sharing my media obsessions and jokes. Yeah, yeah, that's what we do, right? I mean, we set out to create a game because we are excited about a subject. Being the exploration of a theme, a feeling, some art that we saw, or some media that we consumed. And we want to make a game so people can share our excitement for a particular topic. So yeah, I get it. So it wasn't in the zine, but it was a coda to Homebound. If Homebound was about grappling with my feelings about moving away from a home I had made, this is about the uncertainties and anxieties about returning to a home that I know would be much changed. Excellent. Things don't always go the way you think they will. Yeah, I bet. So you got a first draft and then first inquest, polish it. So yeah, okay. So there's a long story here of like 2 years and a half, 1 year and a half making the game. Okay. Now boundaries and expectations. I assume this is safety tools. Open discussion on boundaries and expectations. Spirit of collaboration. Okay. Allow time to set boundaries clearly. You don't owe anyone reasons for your boundaries. Very important. Genre and tone. What do you expect? Okay. This game does not have a default genre, so you can have like urban fantasy, ancient mythology, okay, or far future biopunk. Biopunk? How do you pronounce that? I don't know. You can look into the game seed section. Okay, for inspiration. Right. So yeah, that's what you want to. If you don't have like a specific setting in mind, resort to the pages in the back, and you have them. Cool. The tone can vary. It assumes a more measured and melancholic tone. Yeah, that's what I assumed. But can introduce intrigue and mystery and action. Okay. You can use it as a tool for an upcoming campaign, like an world building tool. Yeah, I can see this happening. Right. Cool. Lines and veils, TV content rating guide, other tools, safety toolkits. Okay, very, very good to have this. Can't stress this enough. Always play safe. Now, the town. See what that means. When I first looked at the screenshots that we have on each page, and I saw this list of words, I immediately felt some connection with it because I tend to use those sorts of prompts everywhere. I write a lot of solo games and I use them as oracles and everything, but I don't know what they do here, but I'm about to find out. So you determine the setting and the locale. Each player picks an element from the list and reveal them. And there are genre-specific lists on the seeds. Okay. Based on the elements reviewed together, describe the rough size and makeup of the town. Okay. And the essential nature of the area. All right. So there are like things that are more abstract to interpret, like air, water, earth, and fire. And they're like plain, swamp, desert, smog. And there is also animals, flowers, trees, insects, walls, stilts, tunnels, and dream. Okay. I love it. I've used those same words quite quite a few times too. They're very evocative. Right. Discuss what elements are timeless and immutable. Okay. Start drawing a map of the town together. This would be a very fun like experience, like in a real table. I mean, it could work online very easily, but like having a large piece of paper with crayons or anything and start drawing on it. Yeah, that would be cool. Can't say that I would do it anytime soon, though. Like, let's see the example: mountain, river, and void. Okay. It's a village on the top of the tallest mountain in the world where it seems to touch the void between the stars. Okay. Could also be the source of a great river. The way you're describing makes me think of a more mythical or fantastical world. What if was a river of stars? Oh, wow, yeah. Huge trees reaching out where starships dock. Oh, I love this example. I love starships and huge trees. Okay. This is the illustration. Very nice. Okay. You can stop discussing drawing. Okay, broad strokes. You label the map, town, then. So this is, I think, how you left the place. And then you make a copy on the same sheet. You leave some space for a relationship map. Oh, right. Okay, I'm intrigued. Okay, so you copy it as the same, leave a space, and then there's town then and town now. And I think town now will suffer changes through play, right? You don't have to worry about the time period. Okay. Now, you leave it as is. Now we create characters. They are returned or remained. Names and relationships. Okay. Those were returned. Okay, choose one which you carried you and one which you left behind. Oh, this gives me like B.O.B. Vibes, like belong outside belonging, like wander home and things. It's the same list, but you have to choose different feelings that you have about those uh, objects, people, or emotions, like an old sin, hope unyielding, a painful memory, a bitter curse. So those are a rare gift. They're words left unsaid. They're abstract and concrete as well. The burden of obligation, a treasured possession. Very cool. Yeah, you see, with like 10 prompts, and you're choosing two and attributing to them this weight of leaving behind or carrying with you, you already give so much depth to a character, right? Because it says right from the get-go things that you're still attached to, so they are very meaningful to you to a point that you can't let go. Maybe not because you like them, but because you're not ready yet. And on the other hand, it's the things you left behind can be things you overcome or things that you had to give up to be where you are, right? And then the prompt is so evocative. Quite easily, you can like on the spot be in the moment to and feel what this character is, right? Now, why you left town, the places you've seen since, and why you've returned. So a little backstory. And then one more question that you're interested in exploring during the game. You don't answer now, you answer later as you play. Like you're bookmarking a question, okay? It's some inspiration. What changes in the town have most affected me? Yeah, you can't Maybe you can't answer that right now. So, what grudges or debts have I settled? So, yeah, will you carry this with me or help me put this away? Do you covet or resent what I carry? Do you wish I had never left or never returned? Oh, yeah, so those are very strong pointings on what kind of story you're interested in playing, right? Depending on how you choose this, you can set the tone for the investigations you're going to have while you build the story. Very cool, very interesting. Now, those who remained have a similar approach. Now, choose one which you've built up and one which you've worn down over time. A home and hearth, wealth and abundance, a bond or relationship, a myth or legend, a dangerous vendetta, barriers and walls, a community of people. Okay, so very clever design. So the prompts are completely different, but they evoke so much the feelings that those people have had during this time, right? Because the person leaving and returning, the focus of the prompts are on the things on the journey. So things you carry and things you leave behind. There's this movement, right? On these two choices you make. For the person staying, it's not about the movement. It's about a single place. So building and destroying. It's about lack of motion, really, but not lack of change. Very clever. Why you've stayed and what opportunities you gave up to stay. Yeah, I can see some very strong feelings coming up when playing this. And then you have your questions here. Do you envy what I have built? Do you resent me for the change I've wrought? Will you aid me or hinder me in my continuing work? Very cool. And there are relationships, right? We have to build. There you go. You choose your character and blah. You choose one or more names and write them. Full legal name, personal name, family nickname, secret name, false name. Okay, this is a first for me. This is very cool. I've never given much thought to the choice of creating a name other than maybe having like name and the nickname that you're known for. But this one gives a whole symbology of a nickname only people in this town know and use, a false name to avoid unwanted attention, discarded name no longer needed, chorus name, the final name that adorns your grave. Oh wow, that's deep. I love this. Yeah, you bring like name creation as a part, an important part of creating the backstory of your or even the future story of your character, right? Super cool. I love it. Discuss how your characters might know each other. You might not all have close relationships, but each character should at least recognize and be aware of all the others. Okay. And at least one relationship with each other character. You can discuss character secrets and motivations. Leave some ambiguity. Okay. You can change some of your options as you discuss until everyone is happy. I won't read through the example, but yeah. Write your character names in a rough circle in the space between the two town maps. Oh, okay. To begin the relationship map, I can use sticky notes, pronouns, draw lines between the characters and label them with the relationships. Okay. Now you draw a simple representation of a river that connects the map of the town then through your relationship map to the map of the town now. This will provide a space for you to write down questions that becomes the focus of later scenes. Oh, very cool. So yeah, this is not how it will look like. This is a fantastical sort of interpretation of those instructions, but I can see map here, a river that connects them going through a web of character names interconnected through relationships. Got it. Okay, so this whole setup can take a while, right? I'm assuming. Now, how do we play this? Let's see. We play in turns. Each player takes one turn in a round. The first two rounds are establishment rounds. Introduce an aspect of the town. Show how an aspect of the town has changed. Ask and answer a question with a scene. Okay. So, how do you introduce? If you're a returned character, you introduce something that was in the past. And a remained character, something that is in the present. It can be you draw from the deck a location, a resident, a tradition, or event. This is the table. Okay, cool. A place of learning and growth, a legend or folktale, a quiet remembrance. Quiet remembrance. Very good. A ghost or specter. A pool of tears. You see, there is an art to creating those prompts, right? That I still try to refine every time I write a game. That you have to be evocative enough as to give players something to work with, but you have to be generic enough as to not like prescribe too much and kind of block creativity or makes something that does not fit really well with the themes we're going for. So it's cool that you have like a ghost or a specter that you can take as literally or metaphorically as you want. Like a ghost can be like the feeling of something that haunts us, right? Or it can be a literal ghost and an in joke. Okay, so this is cool. Something that you knew about that's an in joke, but maybe people now don't care much. Or if you stayed here, that's an in joke that someone that's coming back will not know about. So yeah, very well done. I think those prompts are very well done because they sit in this sweet spot between being prescriptive and being generic and evocative. You may interpret the prompt, however, like there you go. Describe how your character is connected to it. Draw and or write something that represents these aspects on the appropriate map, of course. And add relationship lines that aspect to your character. So the final map that you create during this game is probably a lot of lines. Now, And then you can show how an aspect has changed. Show something, you choose something that's already on the map, of course. Doesn't matter if you return or remained, you can choose any aspect. If it's in the past, describe how it has or hasn't changed through the years and how it is like in the present. If you choose in the present, you do the same thing, but then you show how it was in the past. So you go back and forth. Oh, here that you have like a secret hideaway. Now it now is a secret hideaway, but before it was a building. It was torn down. Describe your connection, your feelings about that aspect, how it changed, how you have changed in relation to that aspect. And you ask another player how their character is connected and how their feelings changed. You can choose to have the conversation in character. Okay, so this is how you'd go one level below, like microscope, right? We are here on the world building level domain. And if you want to, you can choose to move downwards and have a scene, like role play it. This might lead to new questions that either character might be interested in exploring. Write any questions that come up and keep them in mind for later. All right. So it's like a backlog of questions you want to answer. You update the town maps. You do it like, this was in the past, now I draw it in the present. Very cool. Okay. X can answer a question with a scene. Okay, so this is another chance for you to choose, like, enter in the character. Choose a question. Choose one question that you will attempt to collectively answer through a scene. Can be you or another character written down or bookmarked. If you want to do from someone else, ask permission, of course, or you can come up with your own question about the town, relationships, look at the town aspects for inspiration, etc. And then when you choose the question, you write it on the river. Okay, cool. Then you frame the scene to answer that question. Dive deep into character interactions. In the present or in the past. Okay, can be a flashback. Invite any other characters to join. Locations, blah, blah, blah. So I want to have a scene between Sora and Leora. Interesting to try to answer the question of whether Leora would convince Sora to stay for good or keep traveling. Is that okay with you? Yeah, sounds good. I think it's interesting that Leora is getting disillusioned with the town after so many years. So I'm curious if Sora will pick up on that regardless of what Leora says to them. Nice. Okay. We're sitting and chatting at this bridge here. We could have one person looking toward the town and one looking away to the mountains. Oh, very cool setting of the scene. Yeah, excellent. Now you play out the scene. Narrator act out. Impasse. Discuss how you think things should go. There is no like dice rolling to resolve conflicts. You can jump in and out of character. And if there is an impasse, the player that framed the scene make a decision. Okay. You can move between time periods, flashbacks or flash forward. So this is like microscope style too. You might want to introduce new details. Keep note of the following guidance. Okay. Any uncertainties or questions about who has narrative power defer to a remained character for how the town is in the present, and to a returned character for how the town used to be in the past. Okay. So it's like dividing an authoritative power regarding the elements of the world based upon the kind of character you're playing. Very smart way to do it. And now how to end the scene. You end the scene if and when you think an answer has been presented. And you write it in the river. And then choose or write a new question that might arise from that scene on your character sheet. Okay. Check if any other questions have been answered. Yeah, you might kind of tackle two subjects at once. And then you update the town relationship maps by drawing and or writing in any changes. Okay. And how you end the game? Until each player has written at least one question and answer in the river. You may keep playing even beyond this, but end the game before you answer all the questions. And you write the remaining unanswered questions down the river. Then together narrate an epilogue for each character and how they end up feeling about the town and each other. Linger on the changes that have happened both in town and in characters, and what changes might still be in store. Then leave the town, its people, and their unanswered questions to their unknown future. Fold the map over and close this chapter. Beautiful, right? First, I've said this before. I love deterministic ending game situation or rules condition, and I love it when it's very evocative of the kind of feeling you're trying to introduce with the gameplay. So this is there is this nostalgic, melancholic feeling that you can't really settle things. You can't make things the way they were or make things the way you want them to be. And the very clear instruction of not answering all the questions is important for this, right? And I'm reminded of my game. I guess this is it that I published this year. That it's about two people saying goodbye, and it's all about things left unsaid, and things that you can't control. This time has come for you to go, and there are things that's an important part of the game. Is after it ends, you look at the things you left unsaid, and you can't speak about them. Right? You just reflect about them silently. So yeah, I really like it. It's a very poetic way to reinforce the themes of the game. Love it. Now, this is the game, right? What we have here after that is play advice, guidance, and how you can use this game in different scenarios, I'm assuming. For example, teaching and facilitating. This is well, I'm reading, so this is how you can play this game and explain it. First of all, thank you. If you have any specific questions, reach me. There's a link here, including that you can talk to Aaron. Some tips. Take the lead in discussion of safety and tone. Take the first steps with examples. Don't make things too complicated. Keep it simple. Take the first action. When reacting to a prompt, try and talk through alternative ways it could be interpreted so other players can see how that could be done. This is a very good advice for cooperative games, right? On a GM-less game, more often than not, you have to rely on the person that brought the game to the table to kind of be a facilitator of sorts, and that will be the one that usually is most familiar with the rule set, and maybe the others are not as used to playing a game without a GM. Because when you have a GM, like authoritative figure that is supposed to Yeah, it's your responsibility to make the game go, or to move the story forward and things like that. You as players just relax, and when it's my turn I act, and so on and so forth. When you're playing a GMless game, you kind of distribute this authority and this responsibility throughout the players on the table. But when you bring the game, you kind of want to like give examples, if you're familiar with the game, how it works. Oh, you could have done this, not like correcting, but just highlighting the potentials of a specific mechanics of the game. So yeah, this is true for a lot of GMless games. Keep all players on track with the questions. Don't be afraid to call a pause to refocus. Pause regularly. Keep an eye out if any players are dominating the conversation. Okay. This is a collaborative creation, and so it has some tricky aspect to it. It's very personal and vulnerable, so the most important thing is communicate openly, ensure everyone is entering the game with a shared spirit. Yeah, so this is super good advice. Playing a collaborative narrative game like this one, it has to come from a place of sharing, of interest in listening more than talking, and a genuine enthusiasm for other people's ideas and input. So they have most narrative control when it comes to work with other players. Keep the other players in mind, be their fans, be excited to hear their contributions. Yeah, very good. Now, variants and tweaks. I'm curious if you're familiar with the game or storytelling games in general, you can do so. Let's say. If you have any ideas, please feel free to tag me on social media so I can try them out too. Oh yeah, cool, nice. So I like when game designers explicitly say, "I'm inviting you to tweak my game and hack it," and there are some suggestions for you to do so. Instead of playing alternating rounds, you can do more freeform and choose from any possible actions on their turn. But it's good to start with establishment rounds. Okay, so at least you have stuff to talk about. You can use this as a word building tool. You can be more permissive with players drawing or writing. You can use this to flesh out locations or NPCs. Makes sense. Leave some interesting questions and answers to be explored in your game. Yeah, it can be like, you can not only create the setting for your game, but you can like have adventure hooks after you leave some of those questions unanswered. You can play linked games, expanding the timeline. Oh, okay, use the town now as the starting point to turn to the town then of the new game. Very cool. You could still play old characters, like one of the people that stayed now can have left, and the other way, vice versa, the other way around. You could go back to the old questions. Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun. Yeah, I can see that working. You can choose a theme for the round, and each player's action should try to tie into that theme. Yeah, sometimes a theme kind of narrows your options a little bit more, and constraints are usually good for creativity, right? You don't start from a blank page, and you have to talk about a specific theme. And then it kind of puts you in a frame and helps you come up with ideas. You can create characters choosing the elements from the list used to create the town. Oh, if the element of the town is present, the character has the upper hand in their interactions with their surroundings. Okay. Introduce some guides for players who may not be used to the level of collaborative authorship. Okay. So like you own the element. Whenever there's you can consult the town deck, draw a town card and compare the value. So okay, so if you can't come to a consensus, I'm sorry, a consensus of sorts, you can resort to luck, and whoever gets the highest value decides. Cool. Now the game seeds. What we have here, we have return to the level 1 town. You went on a quest to save the world, okay, and you succeeded. Now you go to home as level 73 legend. You're not the same, okay. Very cool. Elements, bells, boats, bonfires, feuds. Okay, so this is the list of custom elements for you to like customize your city. Questions. Oh, some questions. Why did you fail to protect what was precious to me? So you see all the questions, they reinforce possible links between characters, right? They're not only things that you want to investigate about yourself, but it's about yourself in relation to other people. And that's a very intentional game design choice, because we later, when we have those scenes that try to answer the question, it's how you build tension, right? So you come from this world building story of sorts, and then when you get to those questions, you actually have you against another character, not against maybe, but that's when you have to settle a dispute or a thing that was unresolved between you two. That's interesting. And then you can replace some of the existing prompts by those specific ones that are tailored particularly for this place. Some names. Oh, cool. So we have Prism Break. This is a Cars Concrete Drone Factory. So it's kind of a cyberpunkish. This one is more a fantasy. Long Orbits. This is Alien Artificial Biotech. So it's a science fiction one. Artificial beings, blah. Reunion dinners, weddings, funerals. A liminal space, an old friend, someone left behind. Agriculture, airport, arcade, boardwalk, bridge, convention center, gardens. I don't get the reference here. I should read it, but I won't. But cool, nonetheless. And here's the game structure once again. Boundaries, the town, the characters, 2 establishment rounds. You name the town. Oh yeah, I forgot, I skipped this one. And then you explore. You show how it's changed, or you ask questions. Very clever. The river keeps flowing as we do the same until the world's end. Beautiful. So this is an altogether different river. Man, I'm very inspired. I think Aaron did an excellent job here on evoking those themes, and I think the game thrives on the relationships, right? So it's not as much like man versus the surroundings. Well, it is. That's a prompt for conversation. But what is actually exploring is how people react to each other after they change, or after they've been gone for a long time, and faced with all the changes around them. So beautifully done. Very easy to set up. Like the rules are, serve the kind of narrative you are aiming for. There's not a single rule here that does not make sense to the kind of gameplay you would expect for an experience like this one. So kudos to Aaron for pulling it together. I certainly recommend you check it out in case you want to buy it. Here's the link. It's if you don't want to type it out, it's on the description below. And if you like what I did here, you can consider subscribing and sharing this video with your friends and family. And you can support me by buying my games at itch.io, or you can buy me a coffee on coffee.com/kapakli. Okay, so for today, that's all I have. Thank you so much for joining me here, and I see you later. Bye bye.